But that's not the truth of who we are. Those words say all men, black men and white men, brown men, black women and white women and Asian women and Latino women and gay and straight and young people and old people and East Coast and West Coast. All of them in this country and outside of this country, there is a principle that all of us have been created by God, that all of us have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So my friends, when we understand this principle, when we hurt the immigrant community, when we undermine their ability to receive full citizenship, when we deport them, we are actually deporting our deepest values and deporting our deepest truth. We are undermining that sacred right to the pursuit of happiness. And especially when we think about how much our immigrant brothers and sisters have done so much to build this country. How can we do so much to destroy their dreams when immigrants have built this country? How can we do so much to destroy their dreams when immigrants have picked our fruits and cropped our lands and cared for our bodies and cleaned our houses? How can we do so much to destroy their dreams when they've built our skyscrapers and laid down our roads and helped and served in our armed forces? How can we do so much? We know that America is pursuing perfection. We know that America is always chasing after her highest ideals. But here in the 21st century, it's time to fulfill the promise of the pursuit of happiness for our Latino brothers and sisters and every immigrant. It's time in America for us to do right. We all know that America is a country of immigrants. So it's time to do right by all of the immigrants. As I stand here today as an African American with Native American and white ancestry, but for a moment I want to lean toward my African American heritage, and I must remember how long before America fought the Civil War and wrote the 13th Amendment into the Constitution that outlawed slavery. Slavery was banned in Mexico. My Latino brothers and sisters banned slavery. And when I think about that, if my Spanish and Latino brothers and sisters fought for my freedom, the freedom of African American people, even before this country did, there is no way we can remember that legacy of the fight for freedom and not join in the fight today for the inclusion and passing of true immigration rights for everybody. Our Constitution promises the establishment of justice, the promotion of the general welfare, the common good, which means we can have no real domestic tranquility until we do right by immigrants. Frederick Douglass in the 1800s, speaking on July 4th celebration, said on one of occasions that all of our celebration were nothing but fraud and bombast and hypocrisy until we did right by the sons and daughters of Africa. I want you to know today that his words still echo. Until we do right by our good brothers and sisters that are immigrants, until we do right by those who come here and the children who are born here, until we do right by all people in this country, our words are still bomb, fraud, and hypocrisy. Finally, Brother Wong, this evening, let me say from a law that is higher than constitutional law. I come here as a preacher. And when I hear certain extremists in this country refer to my brothers and sisters as aliens, that bothers me.
Yes.
When I think about the great contribution of Cesar Chavez, he was no alien.
That's right.
When I think about all of my Latino brothers and sisters that you've been watching, who've been standing with us in North Carolina, fighting for health care, fighting for unemployment, fighting for labor rights, fighting for public education, fighting for fairness, they are not aliens.
That's right.
And so this afternoon, When I look out on this crowd of diversity, I don't see aliens.
No.
I see human beings.
Yeah.
I see God's creation.
Yeah.
I see people made by the divine architect of the universe. So this afternoon, as a preacher, I want to take that word alien and snatch it back
Yes.
from those who misuse it.
That's right.
And I want to lift it up, but lift it up in a new way. Because I'm tired of those who take words and misuse them, and sometimes even those in the Christian right who don't read the book, they just say they think what's in the book. But I know the book
Yeah.
from Genesis to Revelation.
Come on, preacher.
And in the book, in Deuteronomy, the Old Testament, when Moses was laying out how a nation was supposed to be a nation that pleased God, Moses said, here's how you please God. Deuteronomy 10, verse 18 and 19. Execute justice for the orphan
Yes.
and the widow, and show love for the alien
Yes.
by giving him food and clothing. Show love for the alien, and remember when you were an alien in Egypt. Deuteronomy 24 and 17 says, do not deprive the alien of justice, or the fatherless, or take the cloak of the widow as a pledge. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. America, remember, you're not so great because you're great. You're only great because God shed his grace on you. And how dare we who have been the recipients of grace not show grace to our immigrant brothers and sisters. It says, if there be any aliens among you, if there's anybody among you, Moses said, that's not a Hebrew, the Bible says in order to please God, you got to treat them as your brothers and sisters. You got to make sure that the laws are not biased against them. You've got to make sure that the laws are not discriminatory against them in order to please God. You've got to ensure that they feel love and the warmth of the nation. In order to please God, you've got to make sure that their children are blessed and that they are blessed. If you want to please God, he said you've got to make sure that the alien, that the foreigner, that the immigrant is regarded in the laws as equal as brothers and sisters, in the economy as equal as brothers and sisters. So let us say to America today, since you say on the back of your money, in God we trust, and since you pray every day at the opening of the United States House of Representatives, and since you pray every day at the opening of the United States Senate, and since you swear the president in on a Bible, you ought to know what that Bible says. If you want to please God, if you want to please God, it's time to treat everybody right. Red, yellow, black, and white, all of us are precious in God's sight. It's time to make our laws recognize that we are all brothers and sisters under the watchful eye of God. It's time for America to be one nation under God, indivisible. Not native born versus immigrant, not white versus black versus brown, not gay versus straight, not young versus old, not man versus woman, but one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's time, it's time, it's time, it's past time.